Good morning to you, everybody. It is the Monday of Thanksgiving week. I'm Jane Monreal. You're watching Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. We want to start with some international news because this week, President saying that there is maybe pushing for an end to the Russia's war on Ukraine. Alice Barr from NBC News has the latest from Washington.
In Ukraine, a difficult winter is closing in, with Russian strikes only increasing. Both sides are now targeting the other's heat and power grids. And as the U.S. works to broker a truce by Thanksgiving,
we've had probably the most productive and meaningful meeting so far.
President Trump injecting new tensions in a post accusing Ukraine's leadership of expressing zero gratitude for his administration's efforts. Just as high-level U.S. and Ukraine delegations met in Geneva, with the Ukrainians voicing thanks.
We have very good progress and we are moving forward to the just and lasting peace.
In a joint statement, the U.S. and Ukraine saying they had updated and refined the peace framework President Trump has been pressing for, despite its raising alarm among Ukrainian and European leadership and bipartisan lawmakers for favoring Russia, some even questioning whether it's a U.S. or a Russian proposal.
What the president has put out here is a plan that is very favorable to Russia.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio clarifying the U.S. did author the initial 28-point peace plan that runs counter to several top Ukrainian priorities, calling for Ukraine to give up a fifth of its territory, including portions Russia does not occupy, shrinking the Ukrainian military by about a third and blocking its path to join NATO. President Trump saying there is room to negotiate.
Is this your final offer to Ukraine?
No, not my final.
European allies pushing to strengthen the terms for Ukraine and weaken the risk of further Russian aggression. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Here in the Carolinas, and of course this week with a long holiday weekend coming up, and maybe some folks taking the whole week off, we have to check your weather, right? So Majestic Storm is here in the Live Impact studio right now. Today felt pretty cold to me, right? Going out into the car and through the parking lot, Majestic.
It was pretty though. At least we had the sunshine, and basically today's going to be another really nice day. It was nice over the weekend. Today, if you have any outdoor plans, you shouldn't have any problems. But really, we're preparing you for tomorrow because we do have a weather alert day tomorrow. Let's start with the good news. What's going on today, and then I want to get into those specific details to help you with tomorrow's forecast. So it's going to be nice. That's what we're seeing outside this morning. Temperature is still holding steady into the mid-50s, so overall not too bad right here around Charlotte. Most of us into the 40s and 50s. However, it has been pretty chilly out there in the mountains. Still 38 degrees there in Boone, so one of those days where you probably want a layer heading out the door early in the day, and then by the afternoon you won't want it or need it, as temperatures will rise back into the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. So a nice way to start off our new week, nice way to start our Monday. I know many people still have maybe a couple more days of work before you have some time off, and today's going to be a nice one. Tomorrow, though, we do have a WCNC weather impact alert day. We're watching a cold front sweep through really the country, and it's going to trigger some scattered showers and thunderstorms for us. And it's going to be more of an inconvenience. We're not talking about any severe weather, but we've issued this because we know a lot of people are going to be out there traveling, and the rain could be a bit inconvenient at times. By Thanksgiving, though, the good news is it is all going to be out of our area, and Thanksgiving Day looks beautiful. Little chilly, but beautiful. Here's today, though, our planner ahead. You can still see mainly clear sunny skies for the first half of our morning. A few more clouds start to move in by the afternoon and evening, but bottom line, those temperatures still above our average into the upper 60s today. Our average, really, we should be into the lower end of the 60s for our daytime highs. But let's focus on tomorrow now. So we are going to be covering this for you from from sunrise to sunset. Each show, of course, Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. That's going to be the time frame for wet weather to move into our area. And just know that we didn't issue this because we're concerned about severe weather. We're concerned that this is an all-day washout. That's really not what this is. This is because we know the weather is going to impact a lot of people who will be traveling ahead of the Thanksgiving Day holiday. So it's just going to be a cold front bringing scattered showers. Scattered meaning not everyone will see heavy downpour rain, but the rain will just be very scattered in nature as it kind of pushes through our area. But I do think a lot of people will get that wet weather, so the focus tomorrow will be the travel impacts. Here's our satellite and radar this morning. Nice and clear all across the Carolinas. It's a beautiful start to the week. And our travel forecast for Tuesday. So you can see much of the middle half of the country, it's nice. No problems from Dallas to Denver, Kansas City, even Salt Lake City. Up in the Pacific Northwest, some wet weather, mid-40s for highs. But really it's going to be the southeast and the east coast that needs to be prepared for a soggy Tuesday. And for our area specifically, we don't have the threat of any severe thunderstorms. That threat for more severe storms, that's going to stay off to the south and to the west of us. So let's break this down a little bit more. No problems in the forecast today. Again, today is going to be really nice if you are traveling. Tuesday morning would be the best time to get your traveling in if you don't want to travel in rain. Pausing time, here's about 9 o'clock. Tuesday morning still is going to be a warmer day in general. Cloudy though. So today's just beautiful. Tomorrow's going to be cloudy. And then starting right about noon, we'll start to see wet weather move in across the mountains. It's hitting the Charlotte metro area around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it kind of tapers off. It's not going to be raining all throughout the day. Remember, this is issued more because it's inconvenient because a lot of people will be traveling. But then don't forget about this part. This is going to be late Tuesday night, basically into the overnight hours and into early Wednesday morning, where we're not only talking about some more rain moving in, but possibly a few thunderstorms. And again, we're not seeing any concerns when it comes to strong to severe thunderstorms, but because of the timing of it, most people will be asleep, so don't be surprised if you get woken up early Wednesday morning by some rumbles of thunder. Could even have some lightning strikes with it, brief heavy downpours, but really by the time you're waking up on Wednesday, the rain is out of here and we are good to go leading up to Thanksgiving. So there's the rain portion of the forecast. Then comes the cooler air back behind the cold front. So 3 days in a row with upper 60s, low 70s. By Thanksgiving, our high of only 54 degrees. Friday and Saturday, low 50s. So if our highs are struggling to warm, you better believe those lows are also going to be quite chilly. Waking up Thursday morning, of course that's Thanksgiving morning, 37 degrees in Charlotte. Of course, even cooler for the mountains. So if you're somebody who likes to wake up, you like to get your turkey ready, maybe you like to fry your turkey or smoke your turkey, you're going to be outside. Trust me, it's going to be a little frosty out there, so grab the layers. Maybe you want to have a bonfire while you're at it. Even colder though as we're heading into Friday morning. There's that Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So today is really a nice one. Tuesday morning would be the best time to travel. If you were thinking you want to get out on the roads on Tuesday, I would say do it sooner rather than later. Rain showers, thunderstorms will start to move in Tuesday afternoon and evening. That's why we will be weather alert. That's why we have that red there in the 7-day forecast. Wednesday morning, a couple of sprinkles early in the day, but then that's out of here. No more problems on Wednesday, and Thursday it's just going to be all about the cooler, kind of frosty conditions, but still really beautiful, lots of sunshine, and that takes us straight into the weekend. That's what I have for you guys. There you go.
Not bad for Thanksgiving Day. Cold. I mean, you like this cold weather.
I wish there was snow. That would be just great.
How dare you? So I went to Virginia over the weekend for the Virginia Tech game.
Okay.
And it was cold on Saturday. Cold for me. They were all like, Jane, it can be so much worse. Colder. You can get cold there in Blacksburg.
Yes, for sure.
And I had my gloves on and I had my hand warmers in. I was the only one.
You were prepared, though.
I was prepared. I said, I know me.
You're a Florida girl.
You're Jane.
Blue Florida girl.
Yep. So, and it was funny. It was pretty much a group full of ACC new friends. So shout out to the Wilsons and the Thompsons, and
Oh,
it
that's
was
fun. That's
myself, Miami, Virginia Tech, Clemson was represented, FSU was represented, and then my husband, Texas, and VMI, Virginia Military. Got to give a shout out to him. But fun game, but it reminded me of how cold I can feel.
Yes, you just got to be prepared. If you know the cold's coming, you just grab your layers, you grab your gloves, whatever it is, you call it good. And I think on Thanksgiving, a lot of people like to do the turkey trots, and at least it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be cold though, so probably layer. It's going to be in the 30s around 7 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving Day.
Where do you get rid of the sweatshirt when you're running?
I don't know. It's like, what do? You just kind of
throw it to your mom.
I don't know.
Have her a mile in.
I don't know.
Catch
Where I was from, when they would have races when it was kind of cold and people would wear layers, they would toss it into the trees, like it was a thing, toss it in the trees and leave it. So bring like a sweatshirt that you don't really care about. And then they would collect them and donate all of them afterwards.
Oh, that is a good idea.
I loved it too.
That's very smart.
We all
very
have like a
smart.
sweatshirt. We're like, we don't really need
For
it.
sure.
Yeah.
I give so many
That's really
sweatshirts
smart.
away. That is good. So, well, maybe I got to take up running. To keep warm.
Maybe.
To keep warm.
Same.
All right. Well, that was good. We're off to a good start. A little funky tomorrow
Yep.
with traveling and all
Yes.
that, but we should all be fine and safe. So hopefully you have a great holiday light week if you do have to work all week, because we do have folks working all week this week.
Yes, we do.
All right. Thank you, Majestic.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And we will be right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here at 9:13 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we have been following a trial very close to the Charlotte folks. You know that the co-owner of Brooks Sandwich Shop in Noda was killed back in 2019 while he was opening the store. Closing arguments are set to begin today for the two men charged in Scott Brooks's murder. Richard Devane outside the Mecklenburg Courthouse filing this report earlier on WCNC Plus.
Good Monday morning, all those watching us on the Plus. Basically, today we should hear the jury be given its charge, its marching order, so to speak, about what they can expect to do going forward. Then we will hear opening arguments, or closing, I should say, arguments, followed by them getting the chance to deliberate and possibly return a verdict in this well-known murder trial. Now, the case is set to begin today in the Brooks Sandwich Shop murder trial. Both the prosecution and defense will have their final chances to sway the jury before they begin deliberations. As you said, Terry Conner Jr. and Stephen Staples, both accused of robbing and murdering Scott Brooks. This was back in 2019. He's the co-owner of the well-known Noda restaurant. Investigators say he was opening the shop when the pair confronted and fatally shot him during what police say was an attempted robbery. Throughout the trial, juries have heard evidence including surveillance images, witnesses' testimony, and forensic analysis. Prosecutors argue the suspect targeted Brooks in a violent crime, while the defense has worked to cast doubt on key pieces of evidence and the reliability or lack of credibility of the witness accounts. Ultimately, it's up to the jurors to decide. Take a listen to what the opening statement sounded like. Get a pretty good idea of what the closing arguments will sound like as well. Take a listen.
For 10 seconds, Scott Brooks spoke with his murderers. They had already ambushed him. They had put their guns against him. They had moved him away from the public view so that no one could help him. And they had taken his property. For 10 seconds, Scott Brooks spoke with the men who would soon leave him for dead in front of the business that had helped define his life.
So no murder weapon. We're not going to hear about DNA from Mr. Staples. We're not going to hear about fingerprints. We've heard there's not going to be an eyewitness. There's not confessions. And when the state comes to you and tells you that close is close enough for beyond a reasonable doubt, and we'll discuss this again at the end of this case. Remember, close only counts for horseshoes and hand grenades.
Those were part of opening statements. We should hear the closing arguments later today. We also could have jury deliberations starting after those. We will have jury deliberations after all closing arguments have been stated. So we could actually have a verdict sometime later today. We're right here outside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
And our Jesse Pierre will be going to the closing arguments today. More coming up today later on WCNC Charlotte. Before we go to break, we just wanted to show you around the country, around the Americas. We have some beautiful shots for you as you are getting ready for your holiday weekend, perhaps. New York City looking just fine, sunny. Not quite sure of the temperature, but I do remember seeing people with coats on the Today Show. It looks like if you are going to Hawaii, here's something you can't help but avoid because they won't let you in. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park saying that models suggesting this is the start of episode 37 for Kilauea Volcano. And it just...
So this is the start of it.
The start.
Okay, because usually when we take this camera, we've taken it, a dozen times now.
Yes.
Usually there's nice lava
flowing. Yes.
So this looks like she's brewing.
Yes,
she's getting ready.
She's ready. Yeah. So who knows how long that's going to happen, but sure to happen. 37. And look at this. This is Beach Mountain.
Beach Mountain,
North Carolina.
It's on the summit camera. Looks at. It's not exactly a skiing ready.
No, we have
it's
just
a little slush here and there.
Yeah, grab a snow cone there from Beach Mountain's own. All right, we'll be right back here on Live Impact News. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. So CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings is getting ready to retire by the end of this year. And he had a one-on-one conversation with our own Eugene Robinson, talk about what he looks forward to and maybe some recap of his career here in Charlotte, running the largest law enforcement agency in our area. Here's that interview now from last week on WCNC Plus.
Become the police chief. What were your goals? What were your own personal goals? And what was the landscape of Charlotte as you take over the police department?
Wow, that was a quick turnaround. So when I was announced as the police chief, it was one thought process that I had, because we've had some great police chiefs before me. And my thought process was, how do I continue doing the great work that they've done and continue some of the platforms that they've already built? Well, then when we started looking at the civil unrest and George Floyd, all of the reactions to that, I had to take a step back and say, we have to do something different. And I can't just get up and talk about the things that we've been doing, that how I'm going to continue doing them. So I had to really change my focus on what we're going to look like as a law enforcement agency, and that was an eye-opening experience for me.
That's what I would imagine. It becomes an eye-opening experience for you, because as you get in, there's a lot of things that's going to happen in it that you don't expect, that you have to go ahead and plan for.
Yeah, and really it was, when it started, I said, oh, what have I gotten myself into here? Because it was really a scary moment for not just me, but the profession across the entire country, all major city chiefs. And it wasn't until I had a major city chiefs meeting, and I talked to my colleagues from across the country, and to see that we were all dealing with about the same thing. It was a broken record going around the room talking about some of the challenges and things that you're dealing with. And that was really something that got me to where I said, okay, I'm not in this alone, and we can certainly get through it, and you have people that you can talk to. So that was a huge deal for me.
So now as you take over, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be some in-betweens. All right, so let's start with maybe some of the challenges that you face. What were some of the major challenges that really were going to be extremely challenging?
Obviously the start of it in 2020, there were a lot of questions about law enforcement and the direction of law enforcement. It was a huge challenge, but I also accepted that, and I feel like I wanted to thrive on those challenges, because I often was told this is the worst time to be the police chief. I said, no, it's the best time to be the police chief, because now you can come in and start with a clean slate and build from that point and make it even better and come out stronger on the other side. And then, obviously there's some, then dealing with COVID on top of that, having to change the way you reach out to the community, change the way you communicate internally, change the way our officers respond to different calls for service and with the community. That was a huge challenge. But I think nothing was more challenging than April 29th of 2024, when we lost 4 brave officers that were out doing their job, and one being CMPD Joshua Iyer. That was something that was really difficult to get through, and but I couldn't be more proud of our agency and the response. We continued to keep our community safe during the toughest time in law enforcement history in North Carolina. So that was really a tragic event that we continued to do what we needed to do to keep our community safe.
Those are some of the things that keep you up at night? Because when I think about police chief, I think of someone who's a head coach, someone who's like a father figure, who's going to go ahead and take care of the fold here and have to look out for everything. So are those some of the tragedies that keep you up at night?
Oh yeah, you never want to get that phone call, and when you get the phone goes off all night anyway, but with other incidents happening. But when you get that phone call and you hear from a deputy chief or another command staff member who calls you and says, we've lost someone, it is awful, and you bear responsibility for that. You feel like, what did I do what could I have done to make this not happen? And there's a little bit of blame that you put on yourself, knowing that, knowing that you can't put that on yourself, but you do because you're the leader of this organization. And same thing when I got to call Mia Goodwin when she was in the tragic accident on the interstate. She lost her life, and to have to endure those types of incidents are just heartbreaking. And that these are officers that put their life on the line every single day. They have families, they have their brothers, sisters, mothers, cousins. I mean, it's just to see that they lose their lives way too early. It's difficult to absorb that as a police chief.
Does protocol and the way that you go ahead and try to take care of that in the future of maybe making changes, does that also enter your mind as now the police chief that, okay, we have to go ahead and rework things?
Yeah, when you have any incident that is that dramatic or sticks out that much, you have to learn from that. And if you don't learn from that, you're just idling yourself through a career, and you can't do that. So when there were a lot of changes that we've had to look at when we lose an officer or when you have a critical incident at all. You go back and you debrief and you say, what can we do better? Where could we have possibly had the outcome of this change? And that's how you continue to improve as an agency, and that's not just in the police world. I think that's in everyday world. When you have things that don't go your way, always need to look back and say, what could we have done better?
So what are some of the misconceptions that people don't know about you, as they just see you as a chief and they see maybe that you come up behind the scene or you got the police officers, but they don't know what you do? What are some of the misconceptions, and what would you like them to know about you?
Wow, people kind of forget that you are human, right? And so being the police chief is not who I am. Being a police chief is what I do. And so there are things outside of policing that really keep me going. And this. I'll go out and play some golf. I'll go out and fishing is probably my number one. I love going out and just fishing and getting my mind off of things. Exercise that keeps your mind clear. But at the same time, my whole philosophy is we can't take ourselves too serious. I think there's too many.
And we will get back to that conversation between CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings with our Eugene Robinson, previously recorded here at WCNC Charlotte. First, a little break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Here at 9:31, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Thanks for checking us out Monday through Friday. More than 900,000 North Carolinians could see a major change to their health premiums come the start of 2026. It's because of this critical tax credit that's helped tons of families afford health care insurance, and it is set to expire at the end of the year. So joining us now to discuss the impacts and what's at stake here is Katie Berg from Blood Cancer United. It's part of the Keep Americans Covered Coalition. Katie, thanks for joining us here this morning on Live Impact News.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Help us understand what this tax credit is and why it matters so much to North Carolina families, would you?
Yeah, so you mentioned that over 900,000 people in the state of North Carolina are enrolled in health insurance coverage through the ACA marketplaces. This tax credit helps lower the cost of their monthly premiums to ensure that patients and community members and regular old people are able to enroll in high quality health insurance that they can afford.
And so what happens if Congress does not extend these tax credits?
Yeah, millions of Americans, including loads of people in the state of North Carolina, will see their premiums go through the roof. We know that for a family of four living in North Carolina earning around $65,000 a year, they'll see almost a 250% increase in their premiums. That's more than $3,000 a year. So these kinds of premium spikes are unsustainable for most families, and it's really critically important that Congress take action soon to move a compromise along that will preserve these tax credits.
Obviously, children, families, those with chronic diseases seem to be the ones impacted the most here, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, I work for an organization that represents patients with blood cancer, but there are many pre-existing conditions and serious and chronic conditions that will be impacted by this. And the stakes are really highest for those populations. Losing this tax credit would mean losing a lifeline to care that keeps people well and healthy and even alive. That means fewer doctor's visits, fewer hours with loved ones, and ultimately it can have the ultimate price for many people with serious and chronic conditions who might be priced out of their affordable coverage.
Do you know how North Carolina compares to other states in this position?
We know that North Carolina has just shy of 1 million people enrolled, and so it's really essential for folks that are small business owners, early retirees, entrepreneurs, or people who don't get coverage through their employer to have access to these, and they're a huge economic driver in the state.
So open enrollment is happening right now for a lot of folks. So what are families seeing when they log on to shop around for coverage?
So they're seeing significant premium increases, and I think that's scaring a lot of people away from coverage. So as an individual who works for a cancer nonprofit, we are really encouraged. We know that everybody has to have access to insurance that meets their healthcare needs. We are encouraging people to shop very carefully and enroll in coverage and pay attention to the news to see if there's a compromise where people need to go back to the marketplace and see if their costs have changed. You can re-enroll in coverage all the way up until January 1st. And so it's really important that people keep a close eye on this, but we always encourage people to stay insured.
From your perspective, what's the holdup with Congress? Why haven't they made a decision on this?
Well, we know that this is politically difficult for many people in Congress, and there seems to be a debate about whether families deserve this. And our emphatic answer is that everyone deserves access to health care that they can afford, high-quality health care that will meet their medical needs. You've heard me say that a few times. We also know that Republicans and Democrats, there are more than a few Republicans, are really focused on making sure that we can get something done. They know that for their communities, having people go without health insurance is not a good sign for economic vitality, growth, or individual health. And so we have been really leaning on Congress to move quickly. We don't have time right now to think up some complicated policy solution. We need insurance. We need insurance for next year, just a few weeks away. And patients with blood cancer can't wait.
And what should viewers do now if they are worried or concerned about their coverage or facing, premium increases such as the ones you mentioned?
Now is the time to speak out. now is the time to pick up the phone, open your computer, and communicate with Congress your expectations for their action. Inaction is not a solution here, and so we would certainly encourage people to go to americanscovered.org. There's a Take Action page there where you can reach out to your congressional delegation to share the news and your expectations and your concerns about what's happening with health insurance.
Katie, anything else you want us to know?
If you or a loved one have been impacted by blood cancer, we would certainly encourage you to reach out to bloodcancerunited.org, and appreciate everyone here for lifting their voice and sharing the importance of health insurance.
All right. Appreciate your time and insight and the conversation on something that will affect so many people and so many families, not only in North Carolina, but across the country. Katie Berg from Blood Cancer United. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll be back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:39, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus on this Monday morning of what is going to be the start, and we are just ramping up, getting into the thick of things for this holiday season, right? So as you think about your turkey dinner, I know a lot of folks are already thinking about shopping. I've seen those pre-Black Friday sales and ads. It's like, are we calling this pre-Black Friday now? Is that going to be a thing? That's going to be a thing, pre-Black Friday.
I don't hate it.
Right? We all take advantage of that. So this holiday shopping season, right, it's in full swing. And this Saturday, Charlotte's South End neighborhood is hosting its Shop Small Saturday event. It's a great one. Joining us right now here in the studio, Brianna Bowers from Charlotte Center City Partners to tell us more about this year's event. Brianna, nice to have you here again.
Thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to talk about Shop Small.
Oh, I mean, so many fun things that happen, and Charlotte Center City Partners is such a great group that helps foster all of these events. All right, so this one, though, in the South End area has been a tradition for what, since 2011?
Yes.
Wow. What makes this year's event, or what makes this event so special?
Oh gosh, it is just the one-stop shop for shopping with all of the small businesses. We close down Camden Road and we line it with over 120 small business vendors. So you can expect everything from body care to pet care to jewelry to clothing, and even more. And it really is just a great way to check off your gift list while making sure that you are supporting some small business businesses.
Yeah, I see 120 small business vendors participating.
Yes.
You named some of the items and a lot of unique items too.
Yes.
There on Camden Road. Talk to us about the Holiday Zone at the Design Center. What can we expect there?
Yes, so if you need a little break from shopping, you can step into our Holiday Zone, which is basically all things festive. We're going to have some holiday karaoke that you can participate in.
Oh, say no more.
Yes, Santa is going to be on site from 12 to 3 p.m. so you can come by and get your perfect photo with Santa to use for your holiday card. There's going to be a gift wrapping station, mistletoe moments, and 500 hot chocolates with Shake Shack for the first 500 people to come by the Holiday Zone.
Right.
So we're super excited. All of these activations are brought to us by local businesses such as J. Majors Bridal and Great Star and Huntington Bank, and we are just so excited.
The Shop Small Hero Card Program, what is that about for shoppers?
Yes, so stop by the South End Info Tent. There's going to be 2 near each entrance of the event. There's 2 entrances. So stop by and grab your hero card. What you're going to do is for every $10 that you spend with a small business, they're going to give you a sticker. If you fill up 5, I believe, spots on your hero card, you can exchange that back at the South End Info Tent for a South End tote bag.
Okay, very good. And then continue shopping, right?
Yes.
For folks who are parking, all right, it can be a little tricky in the area. What do people need to know about going this weekend?
This weekend there will definitely account for parking.
Okay.
Make sure that you
the light rail too.
You can take the light rail in. It's going to be East-West Boulevard Station. That's going to be your closest get on, get off point. Parking will definitely be available. You just need to make sure that you're ready to find a spot and then get out and go shopping, and make sure that you also grab some lunch or some dinner in the area and just make it a full South End day.
Yeah, so many good restaurants there too. So fun just to take the day and walk the little not light rail,
the rail trail.
Rail trail. That shows you how much I use the rail trail because I'm such the runner. All right, why is it so important to support small businesses?
Oh gosh, supporting these small businesses, it really does mean supporting their dreams. It really does mean so much to these businesses. We hear it every single year. They come back and say just how much being at this event means to them. It's a really huge day for them, and these really are like their dreams. They're building these companies, and it's just so important to come out and really make that connection with those business owners and see their dreams come true.
Yeah, I mean, in South End, it's so hip happening anyway. And so really after Saturday's big event, it would be nice that people continue shopping local throughout the year and eating local, right?
Absolutely.
Brianna, anything else we need to let our friends and viewers know out there on Live Impact News?
Shop Small Saturday is actually kicking off the holiday season in South End, so you can visit southendclt.org, and we have a whole page just dedicated to all things holidays that you can do. You can find where the festive pop-up bars are, anywhere that's having seasonal food and drink, any shopping and events all across the district. If you are really looking forward to exploring the neighborhood for the holiday season, that is where you can learn more about how you can do that.
And Majestic told us the weather should be cooperative. Nice, cool, crisp, fall-like weather this first weekend, full weekend, real weekend of holiday shopping. None of that pre-stuff, although it's all good too, right? Okay, thanks Brianna Bowers from Charlotte Center City Partners talking about Shop Small Saturday. Enjoy yourselves this weekend as you make your way through South End. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here now at 9:47 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I was playing the previously recorded interview for you with CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings, who is set to retire at the end of the year. He talked to our Eugene Robinson for a sit-down one-on-one. Here is the rest of that conversation now on Live Impact News.
That we're so divisive and that we're so disrespectful towards other people, and I've seen way too much of that in this career. But at the same time, we look at when we come to our meetings and we talk about how we're going to continue to keep our community safe. But we're also going to laugh, we're going to joke, and we're going to make sure that work is not a bad place to be. But at the same time, know what our mission is and know what we have to accomplish, and how huge of a burden it is that community safety lies on our shoulders as a law enforcement agency.
Chief, I want to pivot to some of your wins and successes. Yeah. So when you look over your career, what sticks out to you? Go like this: oh man, that was a great win. Oh, that was a great win for the police department. Yeah. Oh, that felt really good.
Oh, several, and you look at it. I can go through all of it, and one of the things that I look back to is our college internship program that I was turned down to start a college internship program back in I think it was 2018 or so, and I thought that would be a good recruiting tool, but at the time, the budget it came in a little late to the game to try and even ask for it. I was persistent, came back the next year, we did a pilot, and then that went from having 6 interns to 40. We have about 40 every year, and it's one of the premier internship programs in law enforcement across the country. And so it's a pipeline to become a police officer. So that's one of the things that I can look and say, I really was persistent in wanting that to happen, and we got it done. And it's really a great tool for us to recruit within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department now. But all kinds of things that I look at accomplishments, whether what have we done to do some work in civilianizing certain positions so we're not straining our officers for some of these everyday tasks, our civilian traffic crash units that they investigate minor collisions that our officers don't have to spend time doing that now. Traffic control, civilian traffic control officers that are out there directing traffic where we're helping with sporting events and where we're not having an officer with a gun and a badge having to do that all the time. That frees up a lot of our individuals that are sworn and frees them up from having to have that responsibility. So there's so many things that I can continue that I can look back and say this was a great accomplishment. And one especially even being the Pretrial Integrity Act with that we had this district attorney and myself, Spencer Merriweather and myself helped work on and lobbied for, and we pushed, and we had a great team of people that were helping us with this. That there was such an issue with the revolving door of violent criminals, and we said that a violent criminal should not be have a pretrial set by a magistrate. That should go in front of a judge, who that judge is accountable to his or her constituents, and that it's known who that judge is. And so we were able to get that, and just those are things that are going to continue on even long after I leave.
I remember as we were here before, early in the year, one of your police officers received a car from the Hyundai Hometown Hero program. Yeah. And I remember asking that, like, what does it mean for the police unit? And he had just come back, and he was maybe on leave, and he had gotten hurt. And I seen all the police officers outside here, right there, and they were all clapping and beaming this and that. Yeah. And then you came out, and I saw this big smile on your face. Yeah. What did that smile say?
It just shows, one, the love that we have for each other within this agency. We always talk about we're family, but it also shows the love that the community has for what we do. And sometimes it just we need to be reminded of that. So when you see something to where here's an officer who was injured in the line of duty, sacrificed so much for the safety of our community, and now here we're giving back. and he's getting a vehicle, and he's it is not even the vehicle, it's the matter of the appreciation for his sacrifice and what he's done, and that just makes me happy to see that those things demonstrate how much the community cares.
I want to pivot to your retirement here as you start to retire. When we think about retiring, because I'm thinking as a football player, I retired, man, I'm never doing this again at all. So you're not going to be doing this. But how will retirement look for your family first and for you?
Well, I think you kind of played on words there a little bit, family first, right? Because when you do this job, and it's not just as the police chief, but for many, many years, it's been very difficult and very challenging to put your family first. And so to be able to now, you know, my 3 boys are grown and they're adults now and they're on their own, and so my wife and I are empty nesters, but it's going to allow us time to even do things with them that we haven't been able to do. And granted, I've always tried to make sure that I'm with them as much as I can when they were growing up with sporting events, and it was tough sometimes. So I'm excited now to be able to get my time back. My time is now my time again, and so I'll be able to do a lot of things, whether it's going on vacations or just stopping in to visit. I'm looking forward to that. So family is so important to me, and I'm looking forward to being able to spend more time with them.
A couple of more questions, and I'll let you go here. Yeah. One, as you pivot to the new successor coming on, what do you want to leave the new successor with? And also, with the communication that has to happen, all the transparency, even like this time and how transparent, what do you want to be the legacy about the communication, transparency with the media, transparency with the city, transparency with everyone?
Yeah. So I think that leaving on and the transition to Stella Patterson, I think is going to be as smooth as it possibly can be, because, you know, one, we are familiar with each other, we've known each other, we've worked together for many years, and so I'm excited about passing that torch. But also the fact that she's going to have her own ideas, her own style, and that's exciting, because it brings a little change to the game within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, and that's going to be a healthy change. So, you know, my hope is I'll be here if she needs me. She knows I'm a phone call away. We'll have about a month here to transition and do some introductions and things like that. But it's going to be a good time, a good transition, and I'm excited for her. Yeah, it was another part of it.
We don't need that part. Everybody leans on you. Like, everybody's been leaning on you for like advice and this and that. Who do you lean on? Who do you guys? Wow. I mean, who do you like? It's like pastors. I always like this. Who pastors the pastor? So who pastors the chief? Who chiefs the chief?
You know what? And I will say that's a great question, because sometimes you forget that you need to have someone too. And again, you know, my faith is strong. I have an outstanding group of clergy that any time of the day or night I can pick up a phone call and make that, and they will answer and they will respond. And so that started from day one, early on in my career as the police chief. And so that's really been great to have that resource as well. But, you know, at the same time, you know, there are things that you can say to other police chiefs that you may not necessarily be able to say. So we have a great network of major city chiefs that we can pick up the phone at any time, and somebody's going to answer that phone, and you can just talk and vent or whatever you want to do. But also, it's important that when I go home and I'm with my wife, that, you know, we can put all of that aside and we can be normal people, right? So and so that's what's really important, to stay mentally healthy when you have such a sacrifice in this career. So.
Chief, I want to say thank you very much for allowing me this time to go ahead and sit down here and chill with you, and just for you to go ahead and I'm going to just bare your soul. Like, there's a lot that's in there that have to unpack. There's a lot, but there's a lot that people don't get a chance to know about you and know about the nuances of the job that you do. And I want to say, from me to you, thank you very much for your service. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah.
And I mean that too. You know that, right?
No, I know that. Yeah. You wouldn't say that for nothing.
I mean that. I don't even know if I got all the questions in there, but I don't care. What do you think, Pierre, about the interview? Anything?
You good?
Yeah.
I loved your who chiefs the chief question.
I want to know who chiefs the chief.
You stumped me on that one. I was like, I don't know.
Who chiefs the chief? Yeah.
That's a great question, man.
Who chiefs the chief? I mean.
Yeah, and I love how you correlated with the pastors. You know, like that's the same thing. So,
I remember asking a pastor that, right? He's always got giving, and one day I saw him had a tear in his eye.
Oh, thank you.
And I said, man, pastor, who helps you? Who's there for you? Right? And he was like this. He said, not too many people. And I told him, I said,
that's true.
I'm going to be one of those guys behind the scene that has your back. If you need me for anything, I'm there for you.
And that's a good point, because you say that, and it's true. There's not many people, and sometimes you got to have those people that are going to just be straight up honest and be there when you need to talk. Be honest about things that you're either doing or you're going through. And
you gotta have thick skin.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think we're done. We don't have anything else, right? I just want to make sure I just did all my little thing.
You good?
Just quickly, transparency. How can the police department be? I'm talking about transparency. Let me make sure.
Yeah.
How can the police department be more transparent with the community and media? Okay, that was it. All right.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sometimes when you talk about transparency, and that's one of the buzzwords that we've seen throughout my career, basically, and sometimes there's information that you really can't put out, and we're in a world and society right now to where you have to have immediate satisfaction, immediate information, and I think social media has driven that. And news and how you get your news has totally changed. And it used to be you'd wait till 6 o'clock in the evening and you'd catch up on everything that's happened. Now it's within minutes. And so there are certain times that you might be looking at you might be investigating something or something happened, and you can't put certain things. It really could jeopardize the investigation and the end game that you're trying to accomplish, and it's difficult for the public at times to understand that. And I've always had the concept of we're going to put it out when we can put it out, whether it's good or bad. I don't think you've ever seen me try to sugarcoat anything, or you've never seen me hide from something that's going to look bad on our agency. We're going to put it out, and I'll stand in front of the podium and I'll take whatever it is that needs to be given, because we're never perfect. And I've said that from July of 2020, that until you have robots doing this job, you're not going to have a perfect profession. But I do feel sometimes there are a lot of imperfect people that expect perfection out of other people. And so we have to be able to get through that. But our goal is to be perfect, even though we know we're going to fall at times. And then when we fall, you have to be accountable for that, and you have to stand up and admit where you went wrong. And that's probably one of the most difficult parts of the job, because people will claim you're not being transparent when you're really trying to make sure that you have the integrity of the investigation that whatever you're doing. So.
And that was a previously recorded raw interview, obviously, there from Chief Johnny Jennings with our Eugene Robinson, giving it to you in its entirety, unedited. We are going to take a break here now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. At 10:05, welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, tonight is a big night on the big stage. Monday Night Football and our Panthers prime time. What's up? What's up? So what does that mean?
Prime time.
We need.
It means we're on the national stage.
We need a win. Yeah.
We need a win.
We got a lot of eyes.
We want it in front of everybody. We want to be on top.
We got to be on it.
Right.
So, so we've been talking about it for a while then, and it's like all this talk.
Mm-hmm.
So put pen to paper.
Right.
Got to do it.
I hear Eugene every week, and he's
he's
like, we can do it.
He is going off right now,
yeah.
Isn't he?
He's very excited.
Yep.
And they just need to perform on primetime. It's the same game you would do on Sunday. It's just Monday.
Yeah. So Danielle Stein also has a preview of what they're going to do tonight. Hopefully, come on. What needs to happen to win? Because
they're going to San Fran.
They're going to San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
Mark her words. Carlene Bragg, we're going to San Fran. Yep. All right, here's our Danielle Stein on Locked On. A special recording for you now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
A rare Sunday where the Panthers did not have a 1 o'clock kickoff, and that is because they are getting ready for the big lights in the big game. It is a primetime game, Monday Night Football, just ahead against the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be the Panthers' first primetime game since Week 10 of the 2023 season, which was, of course, Bryce Young's rookie year. I'm now joined by Locked On's Julian Council to break down the upcoming matchup and kind of just see where the team's at heading into this game. And Julian, just starting off with the stage of primetime, what can that do for a team as they're getting ready to prepare for the entire country, so to speak, getting ready to watch them?
Yeah, Danielle, I like that you brought up this is the first primetime game since that Thursday night game against Chicago. Go back to that Thursday. There wasn't really a lot on the line that day. And even Week 2 earlier that season, the other primetime game Panthers recently had, wasn't a lot on the line in that game other than it was a divisional opponent. Today, on Monday, that is going to actually be a primetime game that has a lot on the line as Carolina can still win the division in the NFC South, potentially earn a wild card spot. And for them to be in this position, they're 11 games heading this Week 12 matchup on Monday night against San Francisco. Like, that's huge for them to be in the spotlight. And after Bryce had the performance he had last Sunday against Atlanta, to try to follow that up with a big win against the San Francisco 49ers team that over the last couple of years has been one of the best teams in the NFC. So it's a moment for Carolina to follow up last week and also follow up that win a couple weeks ago against Green Bay and once again tell the rest of the NFL that they are a serious contender this year in 2025.
Yeah, talked about Bryce there and that monster performance. He had 448 passing yards in that game, a record for him, a record, of course, for the franchise. And following that up is not an easy task, but of course, we do know that he has some good weapons that he's going to be working alongside, and there are some holes on the San Francisco 49ers defense. Guys like Bosa, guys like Warner, some of their more notable defenders who are not going to be in this game might bring some opportunities, would you say, for the Panthers offense to kind of take advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're facing off against a team that's banged up, especially defensively like San Francisco has been this season and really the last couple of years, they've always had a bunch of injuries, but especially injuries to some key players like Fred Warner, not going to be out there at linebacker, not having Nick Bosa, who could be coming off the edge and wreaking havoc. Not having to worry about those two guys is absolutely going to be in Carolina's advantage, but also just be able to build off what they did last Sunday and what Dave Canales was able to put out there and allow Bryce Young to do in that offense, and to see Bryce find T-Mac, to find Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, and the rest of his offensive weapons. I'm very interested to see if Bryce can continue to build off of that performance, as they're going to need not 448 yards again, I don't think, to win this game on Monday night, but they're going to need those kind of performances at that level as far as just consistency in the passing game if they're going to go on to beat the 49ers, beat the Rams, beat Seattle, and also beat Tampa and the rest of these teams left on their schedule as they try to get to the playoffs this year.
It's not like the Panthers themselves are immune to injury, especially as we're talking about that linebacker position. We do know two pretty key playmakers for the Panthers, Christian Rozeboom, Trevin Wallace, both guys who have had the green dot this season. Both will be out for Monday night. So what does that look like for the rest of the group who's going to need to be kind of stepping up in their place?
Yeah, next man up. That's what it's going to be. Claude Sherrillis got to start last week in place of Trevin Wallace. He'll be starting once again, and I would expect that he'd be wearing the green dot, which he did once Christian Roseboom went out with that hamstring injury at the end of that game last Sunday in Atlanta. And after that, we'll see. There's guys like Chris Barnes who could be called up from the practice squad. That's something that Dave Canales said would be the case on Saturday when he spoke to the media. So we'll see whether he gets a start. There's Bam Martin-Scott, who's been primarily a special teams player at that linebacker spot, the rookie out of South Carolina. He could potentially start. Then Jacoby Windman, they signed him from the practice squad last week, and he potentially could be elevated. He had to make 2 starts late last season as well. And then there's Miami Young Meta, who had to play 5 snaps in that game last Sunday. So a veritable who's who of who going out there and potentially playing linebacker for Carolina on Monday night. But at this point in time, you just got to be that next man up mentality. You have a guy in Claude Sherrillis who's been here over the last 2 seasons, so it's not like he does not have a firm understanding of this defense. And they're going to have to find a way to scheme around what's going to be probably a tough matchup with these linebackers, matchup against Christian McCaffrey. And, of course, one of the best play callers in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan will certainly look to exploit the linebacker injuries Carolina has going into this game.
They're also going to be going up against a quarterback, and that is something that the 49ers have seen kind of seesaw throughout the season due to some injuries. Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. It's one of those things where it's interesting when a team is preparing to play a team where there are quarterback injuries and you don't exactly have the freshest film necessarily. How does a team, would you say, gather the best information going into a game where there's been some flux at the quarterback position?
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of film out on Brock Purdy throughout his career so far, so it's not like he's a brand new player who's never played in Shanahan's scheme. And it's also still Kyle Shanahan's scheme. And Jerry Rivera, the DC here in Carolina, has seen that many times in the past, all different iterations. So, yes, it might be the 4th time that Brock Purdy started this year, but it's not really the first time that anyone's ever seen Brock Purdy. So I don't think it's going to be that difficult to be able to scheme for them. I mean, obviously the difficulty is just the personnel that San Francisco has, and Purdy being a fine player in his own right, and of course what Shanahan's able to do. That's really what the concern is having some of the defensive issues they have as far as injuries for Carolina, scheming against what they have against San Francisco, more so than Brock Purdy making his 4th start of the season.
Yeah, if we're talking offense, though, for San Francisco, all eyes go right on to Christian McCaffrey. We heard from him earlier this week, actually talking to the Charlotte local media, which was pretty cool to kind of get his side of the story of the trade, also just kind of his perspective on where he is in his career and where Carolina kind of fell along in his story as well. That is, of course, the storyline of this Monday Night Football game. First time seeing this extremely important player to their franchise. If you heard that conversation that Christian had on Zoom, what did you kind of make of what he was sharing? And obviously, a lot of people know what we can expect when you're facing Christian McCaffrey, having been on the side with him before, but to be on the other side, what can we kind of get that scouting report that way as?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that Christian was not able to finish off his career here in Carolina. Now, it's still possible. Maybe one day there's a homecoming in order. But look, when they made that move, it made a lot of sense. Matt Rule is no longer the head coach in Carolina. They had an interim at the point in time in Steve Wilks. Clearly, Carolina, with Baker Mayfield, who was injured at that time, Sam Darnold also was injured as well. They were starting P.J. Walker. They knew they needed to go out and get a quarterback in a conventional manner. And they were trading away Christian in order to get some assets, which they did use that 2nd-round pick they got from San Francisco to move up with Chicago later on back in March of that next year to take Bryce Young later on in April. So they knew what they needed to do, and they needed to go get a quarterback. Now, things have not always worked out in their favor as far as Bryce so far. Obviously, last week was great in Atlanta. We'll see what he can do on Monday. And as far as Christian as a player, he's outstanding. He's been one of the best running backs in the league since he's entered. He is an outstanding threat out of the backfield. Those choice routes he'll be running, I'm sure, a ton of those on Monday night. That's something that he gave a lot of players fits when he was in Carolina. He's continued to do that in Shanahan's scheme out in San Francisco. And it would have been nice had the Panthers been able to have a young quarterback like Bryce Young and also have Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore around him, and maybe we wouldn't have seen some of the issues that they had offensively in 2023 and even, hell, points and times this season so far as well. But Christian obviously going to be someone who's always going to be looked fondly upon here in Carolina. Carolina, a great player, and one who is probably going to be one that makes a lot of people miss him even more, depending on how things play out on Monday night as well.
Absolutely. And a lot of the guys on the defense specifically for the Panthers were very complimentary to Christian and talking about him leading up to this game this week. How advantageous do you think it is to be a Carolina Panthers defender who has, gone up in practice against McCaffrey for, it's been a couple years at this point, but they had, numbers of reps. J.C. Horn and him, of course, giving a lot of good compliments one to each other. That's someone who he knows his game pretty well.
Maybe it could be helpful. I don't think it can hurt at all, of course, because obviously Christian's a great player, and I'll be interested to see just how much J.C. Horn would even be able to line up against Christian. I don't think that's ever going to be a matchup, probably not a matchup we're going to see a ton of on Monday. Sure. Would be maybe wise to try to find a way to get J.C. matched up on Christian if Christian's ever lined out wide on his side. But yeah, I don't think it can hurt at all for J.C. and even Derek Brown as well to tell the rest of the guys, hey, this is kind of the things I saw from him back when he was here. Looking at the film, that they can see some more of the intricacies that maybe no one would understand unless they had played with Christian in the past. So I can't see how it wouldn't be beneficial, but it's not necessarily going to make it, I think, that much easier to defend him on Monday.
So this is week 12. The Panthers are kind of limping towards that bye week. There's just, they have a later bye week maybe compared to some other teams in the league, but pretty much from here on out, there's just a few other West Coast teams that they'll be facing, and then a couple more division opponents once again. So this is the time to lock in. Right now, the Panthers being above 500 around this Thanksgiving point, do you feel like this is, a very positive place to be if you are a Carolina Panther trying to trend towards winning the division or giving Tampa a run for the division?
Absolutely, and whether they win the division or not, you have to think about the last two seasons. The Panthers started off 1-7, and now you're sitting here at 6-5, and you are right there in position, win or lose on Monday night, heading into Thanksgiving, with an opportunity to win the division crown or even be able to get a wild card. Now, it may be difficult to get the wild card just looking at the rest of the NFC at this point in time. Now, Tampa, that's a team they're going to get twice. You're going to get New Orleans, you already lost to, and that's a game that you absolutely have to win if you want to be a playoff team. I would have said the first time around also was the case. If you want to be a playoff team, don't lose that game. And hopefully, for Carolina's sake, they're not looking back on that loss against the Saints and thinking, man, what could have been had they won that game as far as what their postseason status may be when it's all said and done after Week 18. But they're in a great spot. And I never felt like going this year this was going to be a playoff team. I thought they had a chance to be in the hunt come here late November and in December, which is obviously so much better than where they've been the last couple of seasons and progress. I think a lot of Panther fans would have taken if I would have told them, hey, you're going to be 6-5 heading in that Monday night game with a chance to potentially be in first place of the division or be right there in position to pick up a wild card spot heading into the final month of the season. I think most people would have taken that. So I think there's a lot of positives where they're at right now, whether they're able to finish the job or get over the hump, however you want to look at it over the next month. This is right on track where I think this organization wanted to be here in 2025 and then heading into next year where I think truly expectations would be contending and being in the playoffs.
And I know a lot of the guys shared with us in the locker room this week that they are really looking forward to showing exactly who this Panthers team is on the biggest stage on a Monday Night Football game. A lot of these guys saying, we grew up watching.
All right, that was our Danielle Stein talking to Julian there from Locked On. Again, a game we're going to be watching, so it'll be fun. Good luck to the Panthers. Let's take this breaking news right now. This is just coming into the newsroom. This is in York County. You can see that overturned truck with logs is there on the road or off the road. And from the York County Sheriff's Office, this is between York Highway, between Public Works Road and Park Place Road, now closed until further notice. So as an alternate, you might just want to use Old York Road instead. Don't know how it happened, but it did come to us around 9:45. So that's only half an hour ago. Looks like it's going to take a while to get that cleaned up. Big mess there on York Highway. So we will take a break now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll keep you updated. Back at 10:21 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happening right now is the UN Security Council, a session taking place out of their New York office on Palestine and the Mideast. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News.
Israel must allow aid in now, without delay, and permit the United Nations, including UNRWA, as well as international non-governmental organizations, to operate freely and effectively. Third, while the ceasefire in Gaza offers hope, stability in the West Bank is essential to any sustainable peace. Yet we've seen further appalling incidents of settler violence during the olive harvest. Last month, OCHA recorded more than 260 Israeli settler attacks, resulting in Palestinian casualties or damage to property. This month, we've witnessed horrific arson attacks, including on a mosque in the West Bank. These unacceptable incidents must be thoroughly investigated and those responsible held accountable. We also urge Israel to end its stranglehold on the Palestinian economy by releasing withheld clearance revenues, protecting correspondent banking arrangements, and facilitating shekel transfers from Palestinian banks. And we reiterate our call on Israel to halt the expansion of illegal settlements, including the E1 plans. President, this is a pivotal moment for the future of the region. The United Kingdom will continue to work with all partners to implement Resolution 2803 and to forge a just and lasting peace for Israelis and Palestinians anchored in a two-state solution. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would like to thank Deputy Special Coordinator Al Akbarov for his comprehensive briefing. President, for over 2 years, the world has witnessed in anguish and disbelief a devastating war in Gaza, inflicting untold suffering on the Palestinian people in the Strip, blockaded, bombarded, besieged, starved, over 70,000 martyred, mostly women and children, almost the entire socio-economic infrastructure reduced to rubble. Demands for ceasefire unheeded, and calls for accountability responded with complete impunity. Yet, amidst this carnage, and despite the relentless Israeli onslaught, two major developments took place. First, the high-level conference on the peaceful settlement of the Palestinian question and the implementation of the two-state solution held in July, followed by the adoption of the New York Declaration on 12 September. and the resumption of the conference on 22nd September during the high-level week. The declaration committed to taking tangible, time-bound, and irreversible steps for the realization of an independent state of Palestine, reflecting the overwhelming desire of the international community. And then there was the second inflection point, the result of political engagement and sustained diplomacy, the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit. Regional and international partners gathered around a shared objective to maintain the ceasefire, address the humanitarian catastrophe, and lay the groundwork for a credible political pathway towards Palestinian right to self-determination and statehood. It led to the adoption of Resolution 2803 by this Council last week. And it all started with the 8 Arab Islamic countries meeting with President Trump on 23rd of September. As part of that important group, Pakistan welcomed the initiative and personal engagement of President Trump and the proposals to end the war, rebuild Gaza, prevent displacement, advance comprehensive peace, and halt the annexation of the West Bank. Throughout this period, we have been constructively engaged, consistent with our principled and long-standing support for the Palestinian people and their inalienable rights. But despite these diplomatic advances, the situation throughout the occupied Palestinian territories remains dire, as also testified by the briefing this morning. Ceasefire violations persist. Israeli airstrikes have killed and injured civilians, including children. More than 300 Palestinians have reportedly been killed since the ceasefire announcement. This reveals a stark truth. Peace declared in words has not yet brought full protection and stability on ground. Lives are still being lost, homes are still being demolished, and families remain in fear. The situation in the West Bank is no less grave. Israeli settler and military violence has escalated to unprecedented levels, with October recording the highest number of settler attacks since the UN began monitoring the situation in 2006. Entire communities have been displaced, especially in the northern West Bank, amid closures, raids, and increasing intimidation. Palestinians must be allowed to return to their homes, and communities must be able to function without constant fear. President, to ensure that peace efforts translate into meaningful progress, several priorities must be advanced. First, implement Resolution 2803 in good faith, thus maintaining the momentum generated by the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit, particularly advancing Palestinian-led and owned governance, reconstruction, and institutional capacity. The Palestinian Authority's role is central. Peace cannot be negotiated over the heads of the Palestinian people. We hope that there will be more clarity on various aspects of Resolution 2803 going forward. Let me reiterate that together with the US and other Arab Islamic countries, Pakistan joined this process as it offers a pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Second, to ensure full adherence to the ceasefire with zero tolerance for unilateral actions, leading to a permanent cessation.
We will get back to that UN session here shortly. First, a 2-minute break on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now at 10:32 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. An exciting time. We had some star power around the Charlotte Metro because legendary singer Stephanie Mills and Charlotte Hornet player LaMelo Ball teamed up to give away turkeys for 50 families in the Charlotte area. And during that giveaway at Plaza Midwood, of course, our Richard Devane was there to capture it all. This from earlier on WCNC Plus.
Good Monday morning, everyone. What a day. We're here. We have the legendary duo here. Well, we have half of that legendary duo, half of that. Stephanie Mills, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming to our festivities today. Love 444 for Love and Mello's organization. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit about what's going to go on today. There are a number of families, dozens of families that are in need of be helped this Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, and I wanted to give back to our community. There's so many people that will not have dinner or turkey for Thanksgiving, and that's important to me. So we want to give love back to our community and everything.
And they're going to be getting some of these items in here, of course.
Yes, we have canned goods, we have rice, we have cornbread, we have chocolate, which is my favorite. We have a lot of things and huge turkeys.
And huge turkeys.
Melo's going to be here from the Charlotte Hornets. You know, the girls are waiting for him to come, so we're excited. I'm excited that they came and they partnered with me to do this, so we're excited.
And everyone will get a chance to meet you and talk to you.
Everyone will get a chance to meet us, talk to us, and take pictures.
Take pictures and autographs, and possibly Stephanie's on tour right now, but the tour's breaking, and you still.
Well, I'm on a break right now. I start back up with Patty, Shaka, and Gladys. We start back up in February. Actually, we're coming to Charlotte February 13th.
February 13th. So mark it down at the Spectrum Center. Yes. Go to that. Yes. But today, some families in need are going to get. This is my Dorothy. This is my Dorothy. I'm from New York City, so you'll understand. This is why I say this is my Dorothy. Because when I was, well,
you know what? It's the 50th anniversary of The Wiz.
The Wiz, the play. Yeah. The play. This is the original Dorothy of The Wiz.
50 years ago, I did The Wiz.
I wasn't born 50 years ago, so I was 2 when I went. Some of the bags are falling over because I guess that was a little. I got so much energy, and when I tell a fib, something happens like that. But anyway, this is a great event. Stephanie Mills, LaMelo Ball will be here today.
Yes.
They're going to be doing this for these families in need. A great time to come out and just share the gift of Thanksgiving.
The gift of giving. It's so good to give, and I'm a giver. I love to give, so. Yeah, please come out and join us.
There you go.
Melo will be here, the Hornets. It's wonderful.
Wonderful people doing wonderful things for the community. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
I love the way she's talking.
I'm fangirling. I am fangirling over here.
Her friends, Patty and Shaka and Gladys. Her buddies. Yeah. Made no thing.
Manhattan. So easy. All right, so cool.
Oh, what a great giveaway. And Stephanie Mills, nice to see the legendary Stephanie Mills. She is a good singer. Girl can sing. All right, let's get you back to the UN as they are in session on this Monday morning out of New York City on Palestine and Mideast. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
International law in ensuring compliance and pursuing accountability. True healing requires real accountability, and true healing demands doing better, much better, to prevent another cycle of violence and hatred. We welcome the launch of the Palestine Donor Group in Brussels, with participation of EU member states, international partners, UN agencies, and international financial institutions. We need a strong and reformed Palestinian Authority under which Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, are unified. We repeat our call on Israel to hand over tax revenues that belong to the Palestinian Authority. We continue to call on Israel for the release of Palestinian civilians from Gaza, especially children, humanitarian and medical workers held in confinement without protection guaranteed by the international humanitarian law. While resolutely standing against terrorism, we also stand in defense of human rights. We are deeply alarmed by the attempts to reinstate the death penalty for persons defined as terrorists. We urge Israel to refrain from undermining the rule of law through the use of a penalty that the international community has pledged to abolish. Mr. President, we simply cannot forget the words we heard in this chamber on the new medical term unique to Gaza, WCNSF, Wounded Child, No Surviving Family, by the MSF, or the terrible description on what malnourishment and starvation mean for a child's body by Save the Children. We know trauma of the Gaza war will span across generations, both in Israel and in Palestine. We call for collective efforts of the international community to address it and to prevent further hate, conflict, and extremism. Full implementation of the Resolution 2803 in good faith and without delay is a first step. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Slovenia for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the representative of Panama.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. President. Panama thanks Mr. Ramirez Alakbarov, Deputy Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process and United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, for his detailed briefing. We welcome the presence of the delegations of Israel and the Observer State of Palestine. Today, barely 8 days after this Council adopted the resolution which, for the first time in decades of mistrust, destruction and suffering, opens a real window of opportunity towards a path that is different from that has been experienced by the peoples of Israel and Palestine. The challenge lies not only in maintaining the ceasefire, but in transforming a fragile moment into an historic turning point for peace. The ceasefire, achieved thanks to the mediation of Qatar, Egypt, the United States, and Turkey, allowed the release of hostages who were still alive and the recovery of the majority of the bodies still held, as well as access for vital humanitarian assistance, providing a minimum of dignity to Israeli and Palestinian families who have endured the unimaginable. Regrettably, the ceasefire remains vulnerable. Every act that contradicts the spirit of Sharm el-Sheikh jeopardizes the credibility of the commitments undertaken. Panama, in its inalienable commitment to international law and as a member of this Council, which voted in favor of the resolution adopted last week, reiterates its call that the protection of civilians is and must remain a priority for all parties at all times. We therefore trust that the guarantors and mediators will exert their full influence to ensure full compliance with what has been agreed and to keep alive the space that this ceasefire has opened for peace. Gaza cannot continue to be governed by the extremism of Hamas, nor by any armed actor outside the framework of international law. The future must be built on a reformed and unified Palestinian institutional leadership capable of guaranteeing security for its own population and for its neighbors. In this regard, Panama acknowledges and welcomes the progress recently presented by the Palestinian Authority, including 23 reform measures that have been implemented as crucial steps to enable the transitional stage envisaged in the resolution and in President Donald Trump's hopeful 20-point plan. Mr. President, fragility on the ground is not only political. Last week's torrential rains destroyed thousands of tents and makeshift shelters, affecting some 740,000 people. And, despite improved access to basic goods, many families continue to survive on just one meal a day. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, the situation also continues to deteriorate gravely. We insist that violence and actions that contradict international law, and the resolutions of this Council must end. The scale of the ongoing humanitarian situation in Gaza and the West Bank underscores the importance of the presence of the United Nations and its specialized agencies to provide vital assistance to protect the civilian population and support the orderly transition that this Council has outlined in its resolutions. Panama reiterates its steadfast support and recognition of the work of United Nations humanitarian agencies that continue operating on the ground with immense professionalism and sacrifice. Mr. President, Panama reiterates that Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, are integral parts of the future Palestinian state, and that the viable, sustainable, and humane solution will remain that which enables the peoples of Israel and Palestine to live side by side in peace, security, and dignity in accordance with international law and the relevant resolutions of this Council. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of Panama for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you, President. I would like to thank Deputy Special Coordinator Al Akbarov for his insightful briefing. The occupied Palestinian territory is still the theater of bloodshed. In 40 days since the ceasefire began, and in flagrant violation of the agreement, Israel killed more than 310 Palestinians, many of whom are women and children. Algeria strongly condemns this brutal and continued onslaught. From Lebanon to Syria, to Gaza, to the West Bank.
You've been watching live the session there at the United Nations in New York City. We will be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. .46 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We get you back to the UN. The session on Palestine and the Mideast on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Without clean water and with disease spreading rapidly, This campaign, yes, it is a campaign of oppression is not limited to the besieged Gaza Strip. In the West Bank, situation is just as grave. We are witnessing an unprecedented escalation of settler terrorism, an extremist campaign of violence, of intimidation, supported and shielded by the Israeli occupying forces. Extremist settlers burn homes, burn mosques, burn olive groves. They terrorize communities. They seize land at an alarming rate. These blatant violations and heinous crimes are all efforts aiming at ethnic cleansing. Yes, ethnic cleansing, designed to kill the very idea of a future Palestinian state. Mr. President, the immense suffering of the Palestinian people demands concrete actions from the Security Council. It requires a genuine commitment to, first, preserving the ceasefire agreement. This must be our immediate and absolute priority. The killing must stop. Second, launching the reconstruction efforts. This means the complete and immediate opening of all crossing to allow for the massive unimpeded flow of humanitarian aid and flow of reconstruction material and equipment. Third, ensuring accountability. The thousands of documented Israeli crimes cannot be forgotten. There can be no impunity, no immunity for war crimes. Those responsible for these atrocities must be brought to justice. Fourth, lifting the historic injustice. This can only be achieved by ending the occupation and enabling the Palestinian people to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination and establish their own independent state, establish their own sovereign state with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. In closing, President, let us be clear. The immense sacrifices of the Palestinian people place a historic responsibility upon all of us in the Security Council. We have a duty to seek justice for them. Only through justice for the Palestinian people can we ever hope to build a true, lasting, and sustainable peace in the Middle East. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Algeria for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
Mr. President, we are grateful to Deputy UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, Ramiz Alakbarov, for his briefing on the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestinian question. It has been more than a month since the agreement between Israel and Hamas on this cessation of hostilities were reached, and in this short time, much more has been achieved than in the 2 long years of war.
The UN session is taking place there in New York City as they talk about the Mideast. We are taking a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. See you in 2. Back here now at 10:54 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to get you a breaking news update on this overturned truck. You can see all of those logs overturned there in York County. Information, the latest we have from York County Sheriff's Office is that this happened on York Highway between Public Works Road and Park Place Road. It remains closed until further notice because of the mess that you can see right there. So as an alternate, go ahead and use Highway 161. That's Old York Road. All right. As soon as that clears up, we will let you know here online and on air. An update coming up here on WCNC Charlotte. Also, the big story for today is that closing arguments are set to start today. Defendants brought into the Mecklenburg County Courthouse not too long ago with our Jesse Pierre covering the murder trial of the 2 suspects charged in the Brooks Sandwich Shop co-owner's death that happened back in 2019. Our Richard Devane also covered the story this morning on WCNC Plus.
Good Monday morning, all those watching us on the Plus. Basically, today we should hear the jury be given its charge, its marching orders, so to speak, about what they can expect to do going forward. Then we will hear opening arguments, or closing, I should say, arguments, followed by them getting the chance to deliberate and possibly return a verdict in this well-known murder trial. Now, the case is set to begin today in the Brooks Sandwich Shop murder trial. Both the prosecution and defense will have their final chances to sway the jury before they begin deliberations. As you said, Terry Conner Jr. and Stephen Staples, both accused of robbing and murdering Scott Brooks. This was back in 2019. He's the co-owner of the well-known Noda restaurant. Investigators say he was opening the shop when the pair confronted and fatally shot him during what police say say was an attempted robbery. Throughout the trial, juries have heard evidence including surveillance images, witnesses' testimony, and forensic analysis. Prosecutors argue the suspect targeted Brooks in a violent crime, while the defense has worked to cast doubt on key pieces of evidence and the reliability or lack of credibility of the witness accounts. Ultimately, it's up to the jurors to decide. Take a listen to what the opening statement sounded like, get a pretty good idea of what the closing arguments will sound like as well. Take a listen.
For 10 seconds, Scott Brooks spoke with his murderers. They had already ambushed him. They had put their guns against him. They had moved him away from the public view so that no one could help him. And they had taken his property. For 10 seconds, Scott Brooks spoke with the men who would soon leave him for dead in front of the business that had helped define his life.
So no murder weapon. We're not going to hear about DNA from Mr. Staples. We're not going to hear about fingerprints. We've heard there's not going to be an eyewitness. There's not confessions. And when the state comes to you and tells you that close is close enough for beyond a reasonable doubt, and we'll discuss this again at the end of this case. Remember, close only counts for horseshoes and hand grenades.
Those were part of opening statements. We should hear the closing arguments later today. We also could have jury deliberations starting after those. We will have jury deliberations after all closing arguments have been stated. So we could actually have a verdict sometime later today. We're right here outside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
And as we come up on 11 o'clock on this Monday morning, that's going to do it for us for now here on Live Impact News. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great morning.